We've finally found them. Let's go get their planet. A creature stares at the data flashing on a super high-tech translucent screen. Their space station is many light years away from Earth. They were waiting for this signal for a long, long time. They jumped into spaceships and rushed toward Earth. And they don't come as tourists or friends. They are out to conquer. No worries, it's just a hypothetical scenario, but humanity did send a message into space back in 1974. They aimed it at a star cluster 25,000 light-years away. If the message ever reaches someone, they'll know who we are, what we're made of, and creepiest of all, exactly where we live. So why would someone send out such info? Back in the 1970s, the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico had just gone through a major upgrade. The scientists really wanted to show off the power of this massive radio telescope, and they found a way. Instead of just listening out for possible signals from other civilizations, they flipped the script and sent one. The mastermind behind it was Frank Drake, a legendary astronomer known for the Drake equation. It's a formula to estimate how many intelligent civilizations might exist in the galaxy. He teamed up with Carl Sagan, and they created a message in binary code, just ones and zeros, that described humanity. The whole thing was squeezed into just 1,679 bits. Why that number? Because it's the product of two prime numbers, 73 and 23. If you arrange the bits into a rectangle of 73 rows and 23 columns, you get a pixelated picture, kind of like early 8-bit video games. So what exactly did we send? First of all, the numbers 1 to 10. Second, the atomic numbers for hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and phosphorus, the building blocks of DNA. There was also a rough diagram of our DNA structure, a stick figure of a human. Yep, a stick man. I'm not kidding. Then there was also our average height and the human population at the time, about 4.3 billion. Oh, and they did include the location of our planet in a diagram of our solar system, and also a drawing of the Arecibo telescope itself. They aimed the message at Messier 13. It's a huge ancient cluster with hundreds of thousands to millions of stars in one place. Imagine how many prospective planets could be there. The cluster is about 25,000 light-years away. That means it will take 25,000 years for the message to get there, and another 25,000 years for any reply to reach us. So, realistically, we won't be getting a new phone who dis text from extraterrestrial creatures anytime soon. The whole thing was meant more as a symbolic gesture, as a way to flex human intelligence and celebrate our tech. Even Carl Sagan says it was kind of like launching a bottle into the cosmic ocean. Sounds cool, but not everyone agrees it was a good idea. Over the years, the Arecibo message has sparked a lot of controversy. Because, here's the thing, what if someone does hear us? And what if they're not friendly? One of the most brilliant physicists in history, Stephen Hawking, famously warned against actively trying to contact extraterrestrial civilizations. He explained that when advanced civilizations have met less advanced ones on Earth, it usually ended badly. And by badly here, I mean horrible things like colonization and many people losing their lives. Hawking said trying to contact some creatures without knowing who's out there could lead to someone coming to raid Earth for resources, then move on. And the famous physicist is not alone here. Plenty of modern scientists argue that sending signals into deep space is reckless. We don't know who's out there. We don't know what they want. And now they know exactly where to find us. The scariest part is that even if we regret sending the message, it's already gone and we can't take it back. It's flying through space right now at the speed of light. Like a cosmic postcard we can't unsend. Since Arecibo, we haven't stopped, but gotten even bolder. In 2008, scientists sent a Beatles song across the universe toward the North Star, which is 433 light-years away from Earth. The song is traveling at the speed of light and should reach its goal in the year 2441. The scientists digitized the song into a data stream, so endless ones and zeros, and blasted it as a radio signal using the DSS-63 dish in Madrid. That dish is about 3/4 as tall as the Statue of Liberty, and it wasn't the first time music traveled into space. Former Beatle Paul McCartney beamed his first intergalactic concert to the International Space Station in 2005 and loved the idea of the new launch. In 2013, some extraterrestrial enthusiasts started a whole crowd-funded lone signal project. The project's beacon was sending tiny 144-character messages, kind of like cosmic tweets, from everyday people on Earth to a red dwarf star named Gliese 526. It's 17.6 light-years away from Earth, and it doesn't have any known planets. The message could reach it in 18 years. There was one part made up of a sequence of prime numbers to explain physics and where we are in the galaxy. It had enough clues so that whoever's listening could crack the next part, the human language messages. The second layer was the fun part, the 144-character citizen messages sent from the Lone Signal website. They could be in any language and say pretty much anything. Anyone joining the beaming community could send their first message free, but after that, each new one cost 25 cents. They were hoping to raise $100 million to build a global network of satellite dishes, so we could beam messages all across the Milky Way. But oops, the project ran out of cash just after a couple of months. With our current tech, we could send anything into space, from entire encyclopedias, 3D models, to digital DNA into the stars. But the big question is, who will hear it? And what if they want to wipe us out without even leaving their planet? The wildest part is that some people think some mysterious they have already found us. On the night of August 15, 1977, scientists at Ohio State University's Big Ear Observatory spotted a mysterious deep space signal. It was exactly in the spot where guys from the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence organization had been hoping to find something. The signal lasted 72 seconds, was super strong, and then completely vanished. For years, many people believed it was a signal from some unknown extraterrestrial civilization and were hoping to hear from them again. But then, in 2020, scientists spotted mini-WOW signals. Tiny, much weaker versions of the famous 1977 one. Back in the 70s, scientists didn't know about magnetars, those super powerful neutron stars with insane magnetic fields. The original WOW researchers guessed maybe a hydrogen cloud was behind it, but they couldn't explain how it got so loud. Those massive clouds of hydrogen float through space and constantly give off radio signals. Astronomers have been using them for decades to map the shape of our Milky Way. But they're never usually powerful enough to match the WOW signal unless something, like a magnetar, gives them a little boost. It sounds like a really legit explanation for that mysterious signal, but we can't be 100% sure it was that. And just the same way, we can't be 100% sure if the Arecibo message was a brilliant step forward or a potentially dangerous mistake. We won't know for thousands of years, if ever. The Arecibo telescope collapsed in 2020. After nearly 60 years of exploring space, the giant dish fell apart and was eventually demolished. But the message lives on. It's still flying through space across star systems we've never seen. Maybe one day, someone will hear it, and maybe they'll reply with something we've been dreaming about for centuries. You're not alone. Comet 3I Atlas crashes into Earth, and a wave of widespread destruction starts shaking our planet. Ginormous tsunamis are swallowing coastlines, devastating earthquakes are cracking the ground. Hot debris is igniting massive firestorms. Thick clouds of dust are blocking the sun. Now, that's what could happen if 3I Atlas, a massive comet traveling through the solar system, collided with our planet. But can this disaster actually occur? When will 3I Atlas be the closest to Earth? Let's figure this out. First of all, this comet turned out to be way larger than we previously thought. its weight is likely a whopping 33 billion tons. Let's throw in a few comparisons to put it into perspective. The Eiffel Tower weighs about 10,000 tons. So, 33 billion tons is roughly the weight of 3.3 million Eiffel Towers. Impressive! Next, all the cars on Earth, and we're talking about 1.5 billion vehicles, each weighing about 1.5 tons, weigh approximately 2.25 billion tons. This means that the comet's mass is 15 times greater than the combined weight of literally all the cars on the planet. And finally, compared to buildings on Earth, 33 billion tons is equal to several large metropolitan areas made entirely of steel and concrete. But the whole idea of how big this comet is fades in comparison with an even crazier fact about it. It could be unknown technology from a different galaxy, and some experts are somewhat sure about that. But why? 3I Atlas was first spotted in July by NASA's Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System. A bit later, the US Space Agency confirmed that the object was an interstellar object, only the third we have found so far. Before, it was Comet 2I Borisov that passed through in 2019, and Oumuamua, a weird elongated object that appeared in 2017. But the newest comet, with its up to 3.5-mile nucleus, dwarfs Oumuamua, which is just a quarter-mile long, and Borisov, which is about 0.6 miles across. By the way, some believe that the comet could be even bigger, up to almost 7 miles, but scientists haven't found any proof of that yet. Besides its size, 3I Atlas is different in other ways too, which makes some scientists question its origins. The object is shedding huge amounts of carbon dioxide and dust while zooming towards the Sun. It's most likely the proof that 3I Atlas is more massive than the other two interstellar objects by 3 to 5 orders of magnitude, which is basically a serious anomaly. The comet is also traveling toward the Sun incredibly fast. We're talking about around 130,000 miles per hour, which is almost 170 times the speed of sound. Another weird thing is that this interstellar object is following a straight trajectory, unlike anything else in the solar system. Most space bodies move along curved orbits due to the force of gravity. That made some researchers believe that 3I Atlas might be a probe sent by another civilization to explore Earth, possibly with not-so-friendly intentions. Their theory is that the object could be a technological artifact, a sign of cosmic intelligence. You see, the comet moves in a pretty weird way that doesn't totally line up with just gravity. Its trajectory also takes it close to Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. And researchers think that these planets might be especially interesting for another civilization to pass by. Another bizarre fact, the space traveler also spins backward compared to most stuff in our solar system. This might be necessary to make it easier for 3I Atlas to get near Earth without much resistance. Some scientists think the comet's odd spin and flight path could help whoever or whatever made it take super precise measurements of the planets, things like their orbits and sizes, to plan a perfect route through the solar system. If 3I Atlas suddenly changes direction in a big way, that might mean it's using some kind of built-in engine instead of just drifting through space. There's also another theory that suggests it could be a piece of unknown tech that's still active. There's no need to worry though, at least at the moment. The comet isn't coming anywhere near us. NASA says it'll stay around 150 million miles from Earth when heading toward the Sun. So the question is, where do such space visitors come from? Astronomers have found that the 3 interstellar objects we discovered came from totally different parts of the galaxy. And each of them has its own age and background. 3I Atlas turned out to be the oldest, about 4.6 billion years old, and it came from the Milky Way's thick disk. That's a region filled with older stars that have fewer heavy elements. 1I Oumuamua is much younger, around 1 billion years old. It came from the galaxy's thin disk, where new stars are still being born. Oumuamua, Hawaiian for a messenger from afar arriving first, was the first known object from another star system to pass through our solar system. Basically, the first interstellar guest. It was super stretched out, about 10 times longer than it was wide, unlike anything else we've spotted in space. It also sped up in a way that couldn't be explained by gravity alone. Changes in brightness showed it was tumbling end over end instead of spinning smoothly. At first, scientists were confused because the space body didn't have a tail or cloud of gas like a normal comet, even though it was accelerating. That led to a lot of debate about what it was made of and where it came from. Just like with 3I Atlas, some people wondered if it could be technology created by a space civilization. But most scientists now think Oumuamua was a totally natural object, just a really weird one. The best guess is that it was a comet releasing invisible hydrogen gas, which caused it to speed up slightly. Sadly, by the time astronomers found it, it was already heading out of the solar system, so there wasn't much time to study it. As for 2I Borisov, it sits in between at roughly 1.7 billion years old. It also came from the thin disk. It was the first confirmed comet to come from another star system, and it gave scientists a super rare peek at what materials beyond our solar system were made of. The comet was discovered in 2019 by Gennady Borisov, an amateur astronomer who actually built his own telescope to search for faint space objects. Unlike the first interstellar visitor, Oumuamua, which looked more like an asteroid, Borisov behaved like a classic comet. It had a bright coma. That's a temporary fuzzy atmosphere of gas and dust forming around the comet's nucleus as it approaches the Sun. Plus, it boasted a long tail of dust and gas. Studying 2I Borisov helped researchers learn more about how other planetary systems form. Observations showed that its dust grains were compact and that the amount of gases like carbon dioxide changed a lot as it approached the Sun. It could mean that the comet formed under very different conditions than anything else in our solar system. Now, 2I Borisov is speeding away from the Sun and will never return. But it allowed scientists to take a unique glimpse into the chemistry and history of distant worlds. Interestingly, the differences between these three space objects suggest that interstellar visitors have been getting kicked out of planetary systems all across the galaxy for billions of years, so it's not something new. To figure out if 3I Atlas might be some kind of probe from another planet, scientists are checking for any signs of technology, like strange radio signals, electric activity, and weird movement patterns. If the comet suddenly changes course or drops smaller objects nearby, it might be our cue. But even though 3I Atlas is moving in a pretty wild and energetic way, it's most likely just a natural interstellar object passing through. Researchers say they'll need a lot more proof before anyone can seriously say the space wanderer was sent by someone from another planet. What do you think about this newly discovered space traveler? Share your opinion in the comments.
According to the theory of panspermia, life could have been brought to Earth by a meteorite, comet, or asteroid from a different region of space. At the moment, this idea remains purely theoretical. But let's figure out if it could actually turn out to be true. Traditionally, exobiologists, those who are focused on searching for life outside Earth, have been trying to explore the possibility of life on Mars or in the subsurface oceans of Saturn's and Jupiter's icy moons. But simple life could be much more widespread. It could be drifting through interplanetary space right now, in the form of dormant bacteria and spores. Several scientists have noted that the ultra-harsh environment of space is likely to severely damage the DNA and RNA of such spores and microorganisms. Others believe that since enough microbes could be traveling in a dust cloud, some of them could survive in their original form. There are several types of panspermia. For example, lithopanspermia proposes that some kind of microbic life could exist in debris blasted into the cosmos after planetary collisions with comets and asteroids. Radiopanspermia claims that organisms might be able to travel through space with the help of radiation coming from stars. But in this case, it's unclear how the effect of dangerous ultraviolet and X-ray radiation, combined with the vacuum of space, doesn't totally destroy microorganisms. There's also pseudopanspermia. According to it, organic building blocks of life appear in interstellar clouds of dust. They get transported to the surfaces of planets, and life starts developing there. It sounds really fascinating, but is there any evidence for the panspermia theory? Well, there have been a few orbital experiments. For example, from 2008 to 2016, the samples gathered by EXPOSE, special equipment mounted outside the International Space Station and dedicated to astrobiology, were exposed to the conditions of space. After that, they were returned to Earth from the ISS. It turned out that some of them had survived those severe conditions. There was even a case when 100% of bacterial spores placed in Mars-like conditions were still capable of life. Also, some seeds survived and were later grown as plants on Earth. There have also been exostack experiments on the U.S. Long-Duration Exposure Facility satellite and biopan experiments on Russian photon capsules. They have shown that with minimal protection, spores, lichens, and even minuscule animals, such as tardigrades, might be able to survive in space for as long as several years. A piece of Surveyor 3 lunar lander was brought back to Earth in 1969 by the Apollo 12 mission. Shockingly, it contained an Earth bacterium that had survived unprotected for more than 2 years on the airless surface. At the same time, this bacterium could have come from laboratory contamination on arrival back on Earth. The Indian Space Research Organization carried out a search for space microorganisms too. It was done at stratospheric altitudes via balloon flights. The results showed that living interplanetary cells existed in air samples taken from heights of above 25 miles. Normally, air from lower levels of the atmosphere can't be transported there, so this discovery seemed to prove the theory of panspermia. But in 2010, NASA atmospheric sampling before and after hurricanes proved that under certain circumstances, Earth bacteria could actually be transported very high into the upper levels of the atmosphere. One of the main arguments against panspermia is that if this theory was correct, all life found throughout the solar system would have a common origin and share main biochemical characteristics like genetic code. It doesn't sound plausible. Many specialists believe that only the presence of astronaut explorers on the surfaces of, let's say, Mars, Europa, or Enceladus can properly solve the question of life in the solar system. They can compare any life forms found with Earth-type life, which can turn out to be a real test of panspermia. In any case, until probes finally find direct proof of spaceborne life, the panspermia theory will remain unproven. Now, think about the vastness of the universe. Our galaxy contains between 100 and 400 billion stars. Many of them can potentially host planets. Many of those planets might have water in them and be capable of supporting life. And this is just the Milky Way alone. What's the likelihood of other intelligent civilizations existing out there? Well, there's a famous formula called the Drake equation. It's a mathematical tool to guess how many civilizations from outer space might be able to talk to us in our Milky Way galaxy. It was made by a scientist named Frank Drake in 1961. Here are the variables in it. N is the number of civilizations we could potentially talk to in our galaxy. R star is how fast new stars are born in our galaxy. F sub p is the fraction of stars with planets around them. N sub e is the average number of planets around each star that could support life. F sub L is the fraction of those planets where life might actually start. F sub I is the fraction of planets with life that could become smart civilizations. F sub c is the fraction of smart civilizations that send signals into space. And L is how long those civilizations keep sending signals. Of course, we won't get an exact number like this. It's more like an educated guess, and we don't have any answer to that. But based on at least some information we know, there might be around 100 million worlds where life should have evolved. But if that's the case, then why haven't we met or heard from anyone? This is called the Fermi paradox. It's named after the famous physicist Enrico Fermi. He asked a simple but very important question: where is everybody? Our universe should be filled with chatty extraterrestrial beings, advanced civilizations, and spaceships zipping around. Yet, when we look up at the night sky or listen with our radio telescopes and antennas, it's eerily quiet. All we get is the so-called Great Silence of the universe. Scientists from Oxford University's Future of Humanity Institute are trying to answer this question. And they're not the only ones. A group called METI, for Messaging Extraterrestrial Intelligence, organized a workshop in Paris in 2019 to explore this mystery. The workshop brought together experts from various fields, like astrophysics, biology, psychology, and so on. One of the ideas discussed is called the zoo hypothesis. It suggests that perhaps other civilizations do exist, but they're simply not broadcasting their presence. Maybe they know that making direct contact with us could be risky for both sides. So they're intentionally avoiding us, because they're watching us like observing a zoo. They could be using advanced technology we can't detect. There are also some optimistic explanations, like time delays. Space, as you know, is unimaginably big. The time it takes for signals or information to travel across the universe is enormous. It's possible that other civilizations exist, but their signals haven't reached us yet, or ours haven't reached them. But some explanations aren't very optimistic. Like, some scientists think Earth might really be unique. Maybe the conditions that led to life and intelligent beings are so incredibly rare that there are no other planets like ours. Scientists point out that there are many planets similar to Earth, and some are much older. This means there should be plenty of planets where life could evolve. Recent research also suggests that life might be way more resilient than we thought. And, well, while it increases the amount of life existing out there, it also increases the chances that intelligent life doesn't last very long. It might destroy itself before it can spread to other parts of the universe. This is a concerning idea for the future of humanity. The researchers also considered that many planets might be at a similar stage in their development. That's why it's hard for them to explore the universe at the same time. But even they agreed that this explanation is way too far-fetched. And finally, one of the big potential explanations is called the Great Filter. This idea was suggested in the 1990s by Robin Hanson. It says that for life to develop and become advanced like us, it has to overcome some really tough challenges. First of all, the planet itself should have a good stable star and good enough conditions on it. Then life has to start on that planet. These life forms need to be able to reproduce using things like DNA. Simple cells must evolve into more complex cells. More complex organisms with multiple cells must develop. And eventually, these organisms must figure out how to reproduce, which increases genetic diversity. And finally, these organisms must be smart enough to use tools, create, and explore things. Finally, they should colonize other planets and star systems without destroying themselves. And maybe one of these stages is so incredibly hard that most civilizations don't make it past that point. This challenge could be something like developing intelligence in the first place, or it might be the struggle to avoid self-destruction. So, perhaps life isn't rare at all, but most of it doesn't go beyond simple tiny organisms like bacteria. Even if the universe is full of bacteria, they don't become advanced enough to build spaceships. The Great Filter might also be something from outside, like a huge asteroid crashing into a planet, a dangerous burst of gamma rays, or a massive star going supernova. These events could destroy life on any planet, no matter how advanced they are. So, if we've already passed this challenge, it means we could be the only ones in the universe and we can explore it. But if we suddenly hear from a super advanced civilization, it could mean the hard part of the challenge is still ahead of us. Now, the Fermi paradox focuses on intelligent civilizations. It just implies that there should be civilizations more advanced than us. or at least as intelligent as us. But if you think about it, why should extraterrestrial life be similar to ours at all? It might be completely different for many important reasons. Life elsewhere might have developed under completely unique conditions. This could lead to forms of intelligence and consciousness very unlike our own. For example, it could have evolved into highly advanced forms that aren't based on biology as we know it. These beings could exist as energy-based entities, silicon-based life forms, or even as a hive mind. And because they have evolved completely differently, they may be capable of things that we aren't capable of. For example, we can't see the entire light spectrum. Our eyes also can't perceive cool things like dark matter. But who knows what the vision of extraterrestrial beings may be capable of? Their abilities might even extend beyond our three-dimensional perception. They might be able to perceive and interact with higher dimensions, which is why they could have unique, interesting insights into the nature of our world. Or maybe they've learned to think outside of time, like in the movie Arrival. For us, we still haven't met them, but for extraterrestrial beings themselves, the concept of time doesn't exist at all. They're simultaneously in the past, present, and future. For humans, something like this is hard to even imagine. Plus, even on Earth, we don't fully grasp how consciousness works or why it exists. We're not even sure when exactly we became conscious. So even if we do encounter extraterrestrial life, it will be hard for us to understand them or communicate with them. We think that they might have entirely different language systems, symbols, and so on, but they might not even have any communication systems at all. As you can see, the possibilities are endless. Evolution is a process that can go in many different directions. It's possible that extraterrestrial life developed in ways we can't easily understand or even imagine. These things are intriguing to think about. There are still no easy answers. The Fermi paradox remains one of the most exciting and mystery questions in science. Scientists continue to explore these mysteries through a multidisciplinary approach. They're hoping to find clues that could lead to breakthroughs in our understanding of alien intelligence. And until we find a definitive answer, we can keep sparking our curiosity and imagination.
AI can drive a car, design trendy clothes, give you emotional support, and it looks like it can also help us find answers to centuries-long mysteries. Researchers from Yamagata University Institute of Nazca and IBM Japan used a deep learning AI model to find new Nazca lines. Those are distinct white lines on the rusty red background that you can see from a plane while flying over the deserts of southern Peru. Scientists have tried to decipher the meaning of the Nazca lines ever since they were first discovered in the 1920s. There are straight lines, rectangles, triangles, and swirls. There are also some giant drawings. You can see a monkey, a whale, a condor, a hummingbird. The 4 recently discovered geoglyphs, which is the scientific word for those drawings, show a humanoid-like figure holding a club, a fish, a bird, and a pair of legs. What is the hidden symbolism of all that? And why did the Nazca people decide to draw a humanoid in the desert? And did they even know who humanoids were? Let's dig into history to find some answers. The representatives of the ancient Nazca culture created their famous lines more than 2,000 years ago. The geoglyphs have stood the test of time thanks to a dry climate and strong winds in the desert. Scientists found that to form the lines, the Nazca people scraped off the top layer of pebbles, revealing the contrasting soil beneath. The soil's color varies from reddish-brown to yellowish-gray. It makes it look like the lines are constantly changing appearance. It looks like the creators first made small-scale models and then enlarged them to create the full-scale designs we see today. In total, there are more than 800 straight lines, around 300 geometric figures, and 70 animals and plant designs. You can find the first mention of the lines in the 16th century Chronicle of Peru, where they were first described as trail markers in the desert. Since you can't really study the lines and their symbolism from the ground, those geoglyphs only became world famous only in the 1930s. It was the start of the era of commercial planes, so more and more people could witness the lines from their window seats and spread the word. During his research a decade later, Professor Paul Kossak noticed that one of the lines aligned with the setting sun on the day after the winter solstice, which is the shortest day of the year. He supposed that the lines had some astronomical significance. German researcher Maria Reiche, who got the nickname the Lady of the Lines, supported the theory that the geoglyphs served as a calendar and some sort of astronomical purposes. She spent 40 years studying the lines and literally swept them inch by inch. She also moved into a small house close to the lines to protect them from unwanted visitors. And that's how the Nazca Lines mystery was solved. Just kidding. In the 1970s, American researchers began to question astronomical theory. In a region like Nazca, one of the driest places on Earth with only around 20 minutes of rain per year, water is a real treasure. So the straight lines and trapezoids could have something to do with it. They could have been an ancient version of Google Maps, pointing at locations for rituals that the local people organized to get some water and help their crops grow. The images of animals in the Andes region are also related to water. Spiders are thought to be a sign of rain. Hummingbirds symbolize fertility, and monkeys living in the Amazon mean an abundance of water. That could explain the choice of symbols in the desert, but there's no strong proof to support this theory. So the work on explaining the meaning of those mysterious geoglyphs is going on. In the 21st century, the Nazca Lines have become the research ground for archaeologists from Yamagata University. Masato Sakai, a professor of archaeology, together with others on the team, are using high-resolution aerial photography and drones to discover and catalog the lines. They found images of humans, camelids, birds, orca whales, cats, and snakes, most likely created between 100 before current era and 300 current era. Some of the images are around 10 to 20 feet long, and that's why they were pretty tricky to notice. The largest geoglyphs are 1,200 feet across, which is about the height of the Empire State Building. The researchers believe the Nazca Lines were a form of communication in the desert for their creators. The linear ones pointed the direction from valley to valley. The ones drawn on slopes seem to have been drawn along ancient pathways between settlements. Professor Sakai explains that discovering new lines is tricky. Some of them are so poorly preserved that it's hard to spot them in aerial photos. There are also irrigation systems and roads all across the Nazca region, and it complicates the task. And that's where AI comes in handy. The team showed it pictures of previously explored Nazca Lines so it could learn what to look for. Then, AI went through tons of footage taken from planes and satellites and also laser data from previous surveys to identify the lines scientists hadn't found before. The system works 21 times faster than humans, and it made some curious discoveries. Scientists then traveled to the locations it chose to verify the findings. In 2019, AI helped to discover a humanoid-shaped character with a rectangular head who is holding a stick and wearing a headdress. It became a real puzzle for the scientists trying to understand the creature's role in ancient society. The little guy is neighbors with another famous geoglyph. It's a hermit, which is a subgroup of hummingbirds that lives in the forested regions of northern and eastern Peru. The largest of the recently found geoglyphs is a pair of legs. It's more than 250 feet across, about 4/5 as tall as Big Ben. Could be an homage to some ancient supermodel. The fish and the bird are around 4 times smaller. Why they are where they are is still a mystery. Listing new geoglyphs isn't the only way AI is helping scientists. It's doing a lot of good for astronomy. It analyzes vast amounts of astronomical data and uses its algorithms to identify patterns, classify celestial objects, and even predict new events. For example, AI models have been developed to detect and categorize galaxies, search for exoplanets, and identify rare cosmic phenomena. It also helped analyze data obtained by the Kepler mission to discover new Earth-sized planets circling other stars. AI is also transforming the field of chemistry. Machine learning algorithms can predict chemical reactions, discover new compounds, and optimize chemical processes. All of this helps scientists save a lot of time and resources in the labs. If you've ever written a thesis, you know that analyzing vast chunks of information can take forever. Now imagine you need to analyze the archives of the British Library's national newspaper. It's piles and piles of history. So, researchers are teaming up with the curators to develop special software that can analyze the vast amounts of data extracted from these collections. Computational linguists and historians will be able to delve deep into the past and get some insights into changes in society and culture. They'll focus on key periods and track how advancements in technology shaped various aspects of society. AI even helps in the conservation of seals. It's really expensive and challenging to monitor certain species of those cutie pies living in the sea ice zone. Using high-resolution satellites, researchers can now identify the seals in photos, which already helps. But manually counting seals across huge areas of ice is like putting together a jigsaw puzzle of a blue sky consisting of 1,000,000 pieces. It takes a lot of patience, and different analysts come up with different results. Machine learning algorithms can be trained to recognize and distinguish seals in satellite imagery and count them automatically. Researchers can then use this accurate data to monitor seal populations over time and study their behavior and habitat more effectively.